Motherfucker! We have a new writing day. Welcome to the new writing day. How much am I going to be able to write? I don't really know, because I don't know who I even am today. But I can say this with utter assurance. Well, we didn't write yesterday. It's kind of like in the book, I'm at this point with both my perspectives. I'm at this fucking point that I'm gonna need to really think about what the fuck I'm gonna do. Because it's like, it's not necessarily they're going around and doing stuff, you know, walking here, walking there, treading here, treading there. This is the point where it's like, what do they call that in books? Exposition time, where I gotta like have the character like, and then the mentor was before him and he said, oh, what was happening? You know, I think I've talked about before, it's like the Council of Elrond kind of shit. Where it's like, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna talk about everything that's at stake and what's going on and what the history is of this world and how everything matters. Like, I'm at that point with both fucking characters. And it's really paused me. It really has, because it's just, oh my god, I don't know. It's just like, that's the point. Like, I feel like I know, because I did a little writing prompt of the whole story so far. As like, you know, the high story shit. And I did all that from everything I could possibly remember until now. And like how it's all connected, right? Like how the Oapake and Ache are connected to the Serpentine Order and the fucking Osric Society and all this shit. It's just a bunch of things, right? This is the part of the writing that always slows me down, you know? When it comes to the characters just communicating with each other, talking, doing, you know, all that kind of stuff, I can do that no problem. That's easy. Have two characters sit down in front of a campfire and talk about life, like I can do that. Or like, you know, introspective moments that they might have. But now we're getting to the point where it's just, yeah, the expositions, man. Because there's just so many ways that you can go about it. There's so many ways that you can kind of navigate the feel that is like the things that are going to matter in your story. The thing about it is, though, for me, is this exposition's coming. It's coming into the second book. I waited throughout the whole first book, and right there at the end, it was a very cryptic exposition, if it was one at all. And then you're just like confused more than ever. And then book 2 was like, okay, like this is, no, we're going to tell you exactly what's going on. So it's, I'm not like, I really made sure I didn't like do this to the reader. Because the idea is I want the reader to go along on the journey with the hero. So I wanted the reader, as much as the hero was, in the dark. Of like, what the fuck is happening? What does this have to do with anything? Like, what's going on? Why? And you go through this whole journey and you just get to, as you're feeling that, you're watching this character become who he becomes. You're watching his traumas being formed. You're watching his, you know, the way he interacts with the world. You get to witness all these things. And now in book 2, it's like, okay, so what was the point of all that? What was the point of everything? Okay, here comes this part where you're going to be kind of confronted with the truth. And for me, it's like, what is the best way to do this? What is the best way to go about finally laying it on them and saying, you know, I always, in my mind, would call this the reveal, right? The big reveal of like, why this all matters. Imagine you living your life up to a point and then like this fucking cryptic group of people pull you aside and tell you that you're part of some crazy fucking divine prophecy that's been playing out for thousands of years, and now it's come to a head, and now it's you, and you are part of this whole thing. And then they tell you this history that you're just like, what the fuck? I've never even heard of half of this shit. That sounds made up, you know. That's the kind of where the book is at. And so, you know, it's so difficult to try to like think about the avenues to approach with this, because I have no audience. You know, I wrote book 1, I'm writing book 2, I'm a quarter way through it. There is no audience. So it's like I have no feedback. And I just think to myself, like, going about this is tough. It's very tough. I don't know how people feel about the book. I've given the book to like 7 people. I've heard from 1 fucking person so far, and it's been months. So I don't really know. I don't know what people are confused on, or what people, how they feel about it. What characters do they like? What character stories? What's too much? What's too little? Like, I have no fucking idea. No one's reading it, so I don't fucking know what to feel about it. I know the story. I've been writing it for years, so for me, it's not like, when you're sitting with it for so long, I don't think there's anything confusing about it. I don't think there's anything confusing about it that I myself think that should probably be cleared up more. Maybe a couple little sections, but for the overall thing is like, the confusion's supposed to be there. You're supposed to be confused by things. You're trying to weed certain people out of the book, of reading it. You know, certain people are like, I hate it. Like, good, go away. We don't want you. It's like, it's an initiation process, right? So that is not what I'm worried about. It's like, I just don't know how people are taking the story. I swore, I was like, you know, what I should do is, when other people actually finish the fucking book in like 10 years, it feels like, I want to get them all in a room, everybody that's read the book, and just like go chapter by chapter, week by week. Week 1, we're just going to get together for one day. I'm going to get on my board and I'm going to say, okay, what did we think about chapter 1? And then like I can hear everything people say about it, and then I can gather what they think the metaphors are, what they think is going on, and what, like, oh, I think that this character is like this, and I think he's like that. Like, that kind of shit. I can hear all this stuff and I can really compile it. That's what's going to take. I need to get to that stage, but what I'm thinking I need to do, I honestly think I can't release to the like public whenever that comes, and go to find a fucking publisher and whatever the fuck you do these days. I don't think that stage is ready until I finish the 3rd one. Because I myself, as I'm writing a quarter way through book 2, I'm already looking back at book 1 and thinking, oh, I gotta change this. Oh, I need to change that. I've already changed the an element of the ending of book 1. So already, because I'm just like, nah, I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm going to go back and change a couple letters and names around. You know, and as I'm reading this now, I'm like, oh, there's a couple other things I might want to change too, that add to the flow of it all. So it's like, I know for a fact I need to have that 3rd book written before I can even, and written and like made sure I know where I'm at, go back to book 1 and make sure it all adds up before I can release book 1. But that saying that is kind of, you know, slowing me back. But also in saying that, the speed at which I'm writing book 2 is a fuck of a lot faster. It took me 8 writing days, not 8 days in a row, just 8 days of writing, to get to 50 something pages. Shit, in like probably a few months I'll have the book finished. A few writing months, because like I only write 2 days a week. This week I only wrote, this is the only day I get to write this week. Wednesday the 9th or something today is. It's the only day I get to write, so I don't think I'm going to churn out like, well, 6 pages a day. Why don't you double it up and do whatever 6 plus 6 is? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 pages. Like, and I'm just thinking, like, I don't know. We'll see what we get. But I can't write because I don't know. It's the exposition parts, and I'm planning the exposition parts. I don't know. I just don't know what to do. kind of at a loss right now. I really, really am. Oh. There's just so much to do. There is so much to do. So much. The expositions, I want to do it, not necessarily, but I want to do it in a unique way. And there's a piece of writing that I can't fucking find in here that I want to mirror. An old writing that I had. I cannot fucking find it. I found the original copy of it in my notebook, handwritten, so I can go off of that. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. But I can go off of that. I don't know. I think I'm missing some elements. There's just it's a lot. It really is. It's a lot. Now, in this book 2, so far there are 2 perspectives. You know, this guy's perspective, Eris, the main hero, and then this other person that Eris met halfway through the book, and now he's kind of doing his own thing. So I have those 2, and on both those journeys, I'm like at a dead end. Not a dead end, but an exposition dead end. Like, here we go, we're going to talk about what the world is now. I don't necessarily feel ready for that section. I could if I force myself, if I learn. I gotta undo my mind a bit. I'm gonna get into that though. But I have one more that I like literally began. Like I just kind of like gave her like a synopsis of what happened to her after book 1, and then here we go into book 2. Like a page long. She's got a whole fucking thing that's just like, I gotta like, it's a whole ass thing. It's a part of society that she's in that I'm not used to. I'm used to the low, you know, like average people to degenerates and stuff. She's gonna be part of like high society and royalty and all this, and I don't know what the fuck that's like. So now I gotta sit and think like, well, how that, like, it's just a whole thing. And she's a part of an environment that I don't put a lot of thoughts into. It's the political sphere of the country that Eris comes from. Post book 1. So I'm just like, I don't put a lot of thought in politics. I'm not a politically minded person. So to me, that chapter is going to be fucking difficult to write. You know? Hold on. Oh, so that's its own thing. And then I have the antagonist's perspective. And I don't know how much to give to them. I'm still dwelling on like, okay, do I... at the end of a chapter, if every once in a while I give them a few paragraphs of like what... a quick synopsis of what they're doing, and because they're supposed to be chasing, right? They're just always a few steps behind. Something of that nature. Or should they get their own huge perspective of like, no, like they're getting their own chapters and we're going to really explore their minds a bit. I don't know yet. I really don't know. If they're part of the prophecy, then they kind of have to, don't they? But there's just a lot of like things to work on right now. A lot of things to think about, and I always kind of feel guilty when I don't get writing. When I'm not at this typewriter writing things down. I did a little writing prompt, which was the beginning of it, but I just, you know, there's just a lot that I don't really know right now. So I feel like I'm not quite at a dead end, but mentally I'm at a point, and everybody's like, this person, this one, all of their journeys, I'm at this crossroads of like, okay, like this is not, you can't stream of consciousness these parts. These parts you literally have to sit down and work on, if that makes sense, with the characters. I'm sorry that I'm being so very cryptic of like, what are you talking about? Who are these people? What's going on? Because I can't, because then if you know, like, what's the point of reading the book if you already know what's going on? So I'm going to be kind of cryptic, but try to be as entertaining as I can. It's difficult, man. It really is. There's certain parts of your book that, this is just from my experience, so take this as you will. Everyone writes their own way. In a long about way, and I could totally go into how it came to be, but we're not gonna in this one. I've determined there are two facets of writing when it comes to a fictitious story. One is the story that is stream of consciousness. That is, I know that I'm this guy sitting here and I know that I have to go there. I'm going to stream of consciousness my way there. What do I see along the way? What conversations do I have? I'm going to let it flow naturally, you know. Me personally, I don't look at a lot of like scenes of characters interacting with each other and think like, okay, I got to make sure that he mentions this so the reader thinks that. Like, I don't do a lot of that. I try to keep it realistic. In real life, I don't talk about the fucking plot with people in real time. That shit just kind of happens quietly, you know, if you start thinking about it, or like you might come upon something. The plot will always be happening. It's the interactions along the way that I try to find my own voice. You know, if my hero and his buddy are going to the library to to check out, or however they say it anymore, to check out a book of the occult, because they're going to secretly get into it, and you know that that might be what the book's about. Sometimes their conversation along the way might not be about the occult or that fucking book. Like, let's talk about the book while we're walking to the library. Like, no, it's the interaction between the characters that you get to see their relationship. Like, they're going to talk more about the girl that they like along the way, or their teacher, or blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, I feel like it's important in the stream of consciousness to focus on the character, not the plot. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that that's like something that only I know. I think that's like common knowledge, but that's what I've learned. It's like, let's not waste time in exposition and plot when it comes to characters interacting with each other. Let them interact in their own way. If one character seems to have the knowledge of the plot and the other character is kind of curious in that moment, well, then it happens organically. But if I really am very aware of, like, don't ask the question that the reader exactly wants in that moment. Don't ask the question like in a very generic kind of robotic way. Why am I on this journey? To the guy that might know why. Just because it doesn't feel organic. Unless it does feel organic. I think that's one of those things that I can't put into words right now, but you'll know when you know. So that's that stream of consciousness writing. That's character writing. That's world writing. So it's like you can kind of explore the world. Like, oh, you looked out in the town and let's describe the town or whatever. If your mind works that way. The other writing is like plot writing and exposition writing. That is not stream of consciousness. That can be created through stream of consciousness if you make, like what I do, reports. So like I'll have reports like this on my computer. I'll title the report, The Snake in the Portal, which is an event in history. Or I'll say, the Aik Beovac, Martis, like a subject. And then I just go in and type everything I know. And after that, I type every question that I have about it. And then after that, I record myself talking about it. Then I listen back. And then I type out everything. And then that could be between 5 to 15 pages of just shit about that thing. I get done, I read it, I edit it, and I think that's the object. Put it in the pile. And so that I do all those things, and then I finally sit down and say, okay, we're going to this section here. The hero is at the library, he's got the occult book. He realizes that there's a strange person chasing him. This whole crazy thing happens. Now he's talking to the old man and the custodian. And the custodian is actually an ancient cult member that's been waiting for the prophecy kid to come. And now we're at the point where he's going to go and do the prophecy thing. That part is where it's like, okay, does everything add up? Do all the elements, do I understand everything the way I need to understand it? All the backstory, the original lore story, the high story, all of the factions, does everyone feel right in my head? Do I feel like everyone's got the right motivation and everything seems to line up correctly? Yes? Okay. Let's write this scene then. So that's where I'm at now. It's like, do I understand everything? I wrote this report last week. Maybe, I think it's only like 4 or 5 pages. No, I think I did it this week. Well, my weeks end on Wednesday. That's my Sunday. So I did this, not recording it though. So technically I did do some writing, but that's besides the point. But that's kind of where I'm at now. It's like, okay, everything's coming to a head. Exposition time. Does it all matter? Does it all make sense? Are there still weird plot holes where you yourself are like, why has he got to do this now? I don't understand. That's where it's at. Essentially, in real time, you are figuring out the creation myth / prophecy real quick before the hero learns about it. And that's kind of, it can be difficult, you know, because it's the linchpin of everything. It's the whole point of writing the story. Is it good? Is it not good? Does it need work? Does it not need work? I find that to be, I mean, like anyone, that's probably the hardest point of writing. That's the part in which I dread. You know, I drag my feet on this. I'll definitely just like not do it. And I got lazy in the past where I just like, I'm not gonna fucking mess with that. All of a sudden months turn to years because I don't want to mess with it. Because I'm too scared to like, I think Jacob said it about with his writing too. And I feel the same. It's like, you don't want to start putting it into a box because you feel like that limits it. Where it's like, I had all these potentials and it was ethereal. It's almost dreamlike, all these cool ideas, and they were inside this unfinished state, so they could be anything. And now I have to take all that and start like honing and focusing it. You don't want to get it wrong. You don't want to like do that incorrectly or like limit it in some way. Like, oh, it was so cool in my mind, but now it's a small stupid thing. That's the point when you know, I think, it's about to get really, really good. Because I imagine when George Lucas had this vision of Star Wars in his head, and he was filming, I forgot where he did the Tatooine scenes, and then like it came to a head in the cantina. I'm pretty sure he's like, this sucks compared to what I thought it would be. I'm limited, I don't have the money, I don't have this, I don't have that, and it's not what I dreamed it would be. I'm sure he felt like that, but guess what Star Wars did? It's pretty obvious. I think there is potential in that part alone that you can make it. You're about to finally stop being so ethereal about it and bring it into reality. You're manifesting it. That thing I talked about, unmanifest, manifest. You're bringing it into reality and into the know. At least the slight definition of know. That part is kind of where we're treading into in this book. And I'm trying to make sure that I have all my, you know, things in a row. I'm trying to make sure that everything is lined up the way I think it is. And make sure that I understand all the moving elements before I begin to start making shit up and say like, wait a minute, I thought you said Forgotten King was this, not that. Like, I just gotta make sure I'm all in. All those years and years of like treading through this and trying to sew together this fragmented story is coming together. Meanwhile, staying hyper focused on myself as the writer, because the journey as the writer to his novel is just as important to the actual story of the book, metaphorically. I put a lot of the metaphor of me working on the book as a character inside the book. So I have to kind of make sure I mirror that enough to not be on the nose about it, but you'd have to really, really notice it or me say something for you to catch on. So I got to make sure I do those elements too, where I mirror it correctly. And then again, I got to make sure that I'm on point with all this shit. So that slows the writing down a little bit. I don't even know if I'm going to write today because of all that. It just seems to be too much. I can't stream of consciousness through this. I I have to fucking use the other side of my brain, which unfortunately is the side that I don't use too often, so it's very juvenile, you know. It's actually hard to get it to work. I remember, and this might sound insane, but this is the only time I've ever related to somebody in this way. I listened to an interview of Ed Kemper. What do they call him? The co-ed killer, right? Serial killer. And he said he always felt like an idiot and stupid all the time because people made him feel that way. But he realized, someone helped him realize that he didn't use his mind, and he didn't notice he wasn't using it. I think the example he said was, the teacher's like, what's written on this pen? And he's just like, I don't know, this word. And the teacher's like, no, actually look at it, what's written on it. And he looked and he realized, oh, Scrivener, or whatever the fuck that says. Like, he didn't realize this whole time he wasn't accessing this part of his mind. I do that all the time. You see me do with math. I just like, what's this plus that? I don't even know how to begin to like, well, that is this plus that. I just go, I don't know, 43? You know, because I don't even know how. Or in reading a book, I just feel this part of me. It's like, unlock it so you can obtain the knowledge. Don't just look at the words. And I talked about my IQ being like 84. Well, jackass, when you did the IQ test, you didn't even think during the questions. You just went like, da, 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 da. I don't know, that one. Da, da, da. I have no idea, that one. You didn't even try to think. And so for me, the hard part is using, what do they call that, the right side? I don't know, the intellectual side. I don't ever access it. I'm always off in dreamland here and ethereal and like, nothing matters, there is no thought. Let's just be. And what is this? Doesn't matter. Could be anything. I'm always in that mode. And this side here is like, well, what about the logic of life? I say, why are you talking right now? I thought you were eating your spaghetti. You know? That's where I'm always at when it comes to that side. So for me, it's very difficult to be intellectual about things. To retain the retention skills. And that's a muscle that is very, very weak. Very strong creation and fucking ethereal and dream stuff and accessing my dreams and being inside of them and interacting and fucking floating in the sky and creating weird crazy things and using poetry with words that don't make any sense but feel good. I can do that. Coming over here and talking about math, science, and the idea of consciousness and thought in a very coherent way, I cannot do that. Cannot do that because I don't work on it. Like, the muscles are very weak. Side's folded harder than that side. Basically. That, I don't even know how, you know? I don't even know how to get into that point because I want to enjoy it. I want to look at some of these, because I've read, like, I got all these books here, right? I've read, like, maybe, let me just show you so I can get a better picture. All those, right? And then I have some here. Out of all that, I've probably read 12 of them. But I want to read more than that. I want to read more. I want to like sit and want to like obtain this knowledge and sit and read these fucking books and just go, oh my God, I know about the 12th century France and you know. That's just difficult for me. That's a huge fucking struggle that I have. So when I approach those roadblocks, again, the exposition part, I'm like very crippled. Like, okay, we have to do this. And that part of myself, it takes a lot of gumption to work it. What I have to do is record myself and speak out loud. Or if I'm reading a book that I want to retain and I need to like fucking stay on myself because I'll get lazy, I need to start reading it out loud. If I read it quietly, I'm just looking at the words. I'm not even retaining the words. I'm just like, those are all words. They go together. And that's cool, I guess. And that's another idea. I'll sit and do that. I'm like, nope, read it out loud, asshole. And now I have to fucking read every word out loud to actually retain it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have to be on myself to not be lazy. I don't know, man. It's tough. I don't know. I really wish I was more that side of my brain, but I'm not. I really am not. I've always had to have people be that for me. Like Jacob is that side of the brain, and he helps me. Together we're one whole idiot. So like we get to like together kind of function in a sense. I almost need to have my brain cut in half. What do? They basically like, they did these studies where they like split people's brains and they're no longer connected. And I don't remember it. Somehow it can help with some functions like that. Instead of it being connected and passed back and forth, you can split it apart in your mind, and you can actually access this a lot better than that one. It's a whole thing. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I just remember thinking like, I wonder if I should fucking have that done. Help me fucking function a little bit better. Because I do definitely feel like there's this whole portion of my brain that I'm just not, or my consciousness, or my fucking thought, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. There's a whole portion of myself that I'm not utilizing, that I'm letting linger in the dark. I focus a lot of my emotional maturity. I focus a lot on my creative, that side of my brain. I hone that a lot. I focus over here all the time. Stay in the childlike state, but make sure it's matured. You know, childlike wonder and explanation is where I'm always at. My writing reflects that. Stay in the childlike nature of looking at the world and being flabbergasted by awe. Meanwhile, work on your emotional intelligence. I'm always over on that side. Never do I ever focus, like, look at the philosophical thought of life. Look at the fucking mathematical equations that lead to geometry. Look at the scientific method that is the thesis of this, and that subject. Like, that's the shit I'm just like, oh, fuck that. I gotta waste my time on that stupid shit. I'm gonna go over here and think about guns floating with wings, you know, or I don't know, whatever the fuck it is. And the metaphors behind what that might mean. That's where I always struggle. So it's like learning how to go there. And as I said with the writing, stream of consciousness is that side of the brain. That's why that shit's easy. Sit me down, give me a character, I'll fucking riff out fucking something cool. You want me to explain the ins and outs of the philosophy of man? I'm gonna be a little bit more like, I don't know. I could make some weird ethereal shit up about it. Confuse you even more. As it goes. But that's that. What is the day's agenda? Well, I don't know. Guess what I do know, though? Before I end this, check this out. Mother. Got the book back that I sent a long time ago that was all ruined. Look at that, dude. Oh, it's fresh, it's good, it's clean. Nice leather on it. This is the history of Ireland. And I've, can't keep saying tread. I finished book 1 inside of this, which was, what are like, almost 20 pages, I'd say. 17 pages, and it's written with 2 columns. So like you have to read like that, so it's actually more information stuffed inside this bitch. I gotta say, man, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. It's a hard read. Again, accessing that side of my brain. Retention, retention, retention. Pay attention to what the writer's saying here. That's tough, but I'm gonna try, because as I'm reading this more and more, I'm thinking, your story of the Titans, your story of the Aeon and all that stuff, as much as it might appear to mirror the story of like the Greek Titans and the what are they called? Forgive me. Like the gods, the Greek gods. I don't remember what they're called, but as much as it might mirror that, I think the Irish in you needs to kind of come out a little bit. Because there are certain things in here that I'm reading, I'm just like, Like it resonates a little bit. Like, I don't know. That feels more. That feels like way more okay than the Greek god stuff. Like, I feel like some ancestral shit is in here, and so I'm like, I gotta read the history of Ireland. Because, like I said, they definitely are talking about things that a modern person might be like, you're gonna sit and claim that's how you got to Ireland? And I'm gonna say, fuck yeah. This is a story of people that is almost forgotten. This needs to stay. So yeah, that's kind of what I really think I should do, is read this stuff and just kind of take a little break from the writing this week, so we can begin next week with treading down the expositions. So that might be what I do, might be what I will do. Just, research the rest of this week. Next week, begin the research process of the exposition. The following week, write it. It's not going to be written every week. I was on a very good pace, man. Like every fucking week for whenever the series started, I was writing 2 days out of the week, and at the very least 6 pages a day. Like, that's pretty damn good. I don't know how many words that is because it's on the typewriter, so I'm not going to count words. But I think that's pretty fucking good for someone who's as lazy as I am. But all in short, the fucking story and the book, the whole world, man, it's really starting to come together. It's all like I was telling you guys, or whoever, I don't know, whoever this is that listens, I was saying like how very emotional I felt seeing it all come to a head. All these years of like planting all those rows of crops and tilling that land and busting my ass to like mentally to make it all like, one day this will be a fucking field of dreams, to do all that stuff, and now to see them sprouting from the ground. Like all those years of fucking frustration, pain, crying, and having, emotional breakdowns, my jaunt in the fucking psych ward and stuff. All of those things are leading to this point where I'm rebirthing. You know what I mean? Like I'm all this shit that I lived this life, and along it were all these trials and tribulations and good times and bad times. And I was living, but I was growing the seeds within my head of my real self and who I really am. Hiding them away in these journals, tucking it away and protecting them. And now it's like I'm at this point where I'm going to see them sprout from the ground, and I'm beginning to become the person that I was trying to be for all these years. And I'm on the right path. I have all the things that I've ever wanted when I had nothing. That's fucking cool. It's like, it's really cool to see this. Like I'm flabbergasted by all this. I really am. And that's what's exciting about it. Like, those are the kind of things I have to remind myself when I'm in modes of like not writing. Or when, like this week, I'm gonna feel guilty about not writing. I'm gonna be like, oh, you fucking piece of shit, like you're not working, you're not doing this. And I gotta tell myself like, hey man, you've written a lot up to this point, but you gotta work on it now. You gotta make sure this all is what you need it to be. And that's okay. That's fine. You don't have to. It's kind of a modern concept of like, what do they always say? I forgot what it's called, but like basically you keep doing it over and over and over again to get some sort of understanding within that. Fuck, what is that called? Reps. That's what kids say. You're putting the reps in. And it's just like, there's a modern concept there, because it's like people are very physical. They're not, they go in the gym and they do the physical stuff. And it's like all about the reps. You do that, you build these like show muscles that you half the time you don't even use because you work in an office, but whatever. That stuff. that's the kind of modern mentality that I have to get out of my head. It's not necessarily about reps. You're not looking for. It's not about fucking results every day. You know, that's like this whole internet age thought. The reality is you have to work on the inside of that. The things that get you to the concept of a rep. The things that get you to the idea of results. You can't just force out results. Like, yeah, you work on it, you access these parts of your mind, you get it honed in, and that way you don't have to think, you are and you be, and then you produce results. So, okay, well, I'm not pushing out literature for literature's sake. I'm soul capturing the essence of my fucking tragedy. That's not something you can just fucking hone. You know, that's something that's a lived experience every day. That could be a whole other thing I could talk about, but I shouldn't. This fucking video's already gone in 3 different areas that I totally want to keep going. I want to talk more about Ireland. I want to talk more about that. And I want to talk a little bit more about the fucking 2 styles of writing. But I cannot, because I will get lost again. This see what I'm talking about? That stream of consciousness, that ethereal shit. I can do this all day. I can do this all day. We can go off to fucking La La Land and just hang out for like 10 hours. And then you're like, man, I didn't learn anything, but it was at least cool to be there. I can do that for shite goodness or whatever. But when it comes to the other side, yeah, I can't do that very well. Imagine me in a debate. Imagine someone's like, okay, so like, we're going to talk about this. And I'm like, yeah, so here's the funny thing about that. Is let's talk about hair for a little bit. Then we can kind of jump into the other thing. I'll get back to it. People just walk out. Like, this is retarded. Maybe what I'll do, because I'm going to intro out. I'm going to intro out me writing again. Maybe I'll kind of do a little writing prompt to just sharpen the skill a little bit. You talking about reps? That thing you were bashing earlier? Yeah. But yeah, I'll probably do that just to kind of keep the fucking, I don't know, whatever, the skills sharpened. And then I'll fucking venture on to the next journey. And that'll be that.